can do it.
Oh, lost
Look
it.
at that. I planned that the whole time.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Michael with RC Crawling. Today, I am revisiting my first fully custom ground up build, the scx24 Playmobil Beetle. In this video, we are going to finish the half-depth interior, talk to the designer of the chassis that's underneath this now, and of course, we're going to run it on the rocks. First up, I am going to show you how I mocked up the interior. We're going to paint it, assemble it.
Perfect.
So we are here talking with John. He designed the chassis that we're building off of for the Beetle rebuild. And how long have you been working on this design, John?
I've been working on this design well over a year.
Okay.
Before I was even happy with sharing with people.
Yeah, I can tell some work has been done with this. Some of the things I notice are all the mounting holes, front and rear. Little notches in the chassis for wiring to run through. There are some holes for posts, for body posts or something. And then holes to get at the screws that you need for your upper links that go into the included skid that's built into it.
Yeah, I wanted to incorporate everything to be easy on people. Not the tunnels, or I call them tunnels for the wiring.
Okay.
That was kind of like a thought of, everybody likes to hide the wiring. They don't like the wiring to show. So I wanted it to just be channeled. Real automobiles have channels for wiring. Why can't RC cars?
For sure. Yeah, that's a cool touch. I've never seen that on another chassis for sure for the scx24. That's a great idea. I really dig that.
I want to be able to mount stuff easily. I want to use the entire frame as a mounting point. Why have just a set of rails that you really can't mount a whole lot to unless you screw something into it, and that's adding more weight.
Yeah, I see there's lots of options that you could screw rock lights into. I showed you right before we started the call the light wires that I'm running through the holes for the access points for the links.
And that looks great.
Yeah, it looks so cool. I'm excited with how it's turning out.
Well, and when LGRP told me they had a universal rock light kit, I thought, well, what the hell? They sent me a set, and I'm going to town on that. So, again, that falls back to all the mounting points per corner on the frame. It's, everybody likes different mounts, so why not give you a variety of mounts?
Yeah, it's perfect. I can tell a lot of thought's gone into this. Yeah, and you originally built it for the Playmobil Beetle?
Yeah, when I saw Trey's 24 Beetle the first time, I think it had stock frame rails under it.
Uh-huh, mine did.
And I thought, God, I can do something better than that. And that's kind of when the whole thing kind of clicked, and I showed Trey, and he was like, that's cool. Are you going to sell those? And that's kind of what planted the seed to start building them and selling them. And then I was trying to get a set of links for my Red Cat. And I was talking with 828RC. And I showed him the frame, and he told me that was a great idea. It was something new and different to the table. And
I've noticed some performance gains from swapping to this chassis. I also was running stock rails in the previous build version of this crawler, and I've got more flex because I'm able to reposition the shocks where I like them, and
Right.
my center of gravity is lower. So I think we arrived at this tub frame weighing about 46 grams. I reached out to CK4RC, and he weighed his. He said 46 grams, and that's helps offset the weight of this heavy Playmobil Beetle body. So yeah, it slides over rocks nice and easy because it's 3D printed. There's really nothing for it to catch on under here since the skid is integrated into the chassis. So it slides over rocks.
Skid,
yeah, it's just greasy out there on the rocks. So the center of gravity's better, helps keep it upright. Yeah, I appreciate talking with you today about the tub frame. So if somebody wants to get their own for their own Playmobil Beetle build, how would they get in contact with you to purchase one?
Reach out to me via Facebook on one of the groups. I'm always available on Messenger. You can shoot me a message. The frames are $40 each. That includes the shipping. They're really durable. I've dropped mine on concrete. I can't tell you how many times, and I've never cracked a frame.
Oh yeah, it's solid. I can push on it and feel on it. It's well designed. It's not going to crack or break easily.
But everything else, I drop test, I toss it. Each frame's under a, I don't want to say a strict regimen, but I mean each one is dropped.
Yeah, it'll definitely survive a tumble on the rocks.
Yeah, I would like to see one of these frames hit the Drunken Frog with Trey. I really would. I think Trey would have a blast with it.
Absolutely. They're great for scale builds, I think, and that's exactly what I'm going for with this build. I just finished filming the full interior installation, and unfortunately it's kind of rainy and wet today, so it's going to have to wait for run footage for another day, but getting close to getting this video wrapped up and out there. I appreciate chatting with you today, and I will drop a link for your Instagram and Facebook in the video description for anybody that wants to reach out and get their own tub frame.
That would be fantastic. I actually
Let's start off by taking a little closer look at the build. So this is the tub chassis, tub frame. This was designed by John Greiner. I have used his services in printing before on the K-Truck. He is Grandpa's RC Off-Road Recovery. So he also printed my coffin and my driver for the K-Truck. And I decided I wanted to try the chassis he designed specifically for the Playmobil Beetle. So got everything put together using C10 links. I have stretched it a little bit by unscrewing the rod ends. I should have put O-rings on there, but I didn't, and I don't want to now. I came up with some magnet mounts, glued some styrene to raise the front, and then dremeled a little spot for the rear magnet. Some styrene underneath the hood of the Beetle to get the magnets and body to sit where I want, and then dremeled off the top of the back seat and glued it into the body for the rear magnet mount. So chopped off the rear of the back seat from the interior, glued it in there, and that allows this to sit on here just the way I like it. So it sits a little high, which is fine. This is more of a scale build than a performer. But the rest of this running Mofo RC SMP, one of my favorite motors out there, along with the Big Kid Tiny Truck ESC, Endura 11 kilogram servo, 40 millimeter big bore Endura oil-filled shocks, Endura 11 kilogram servo, and some purple Mias axles. These were from our dear leader himself, Mr. Yep. And the way I have mocked up this interior, I'm just using a piece of styrene. I took a large sheet of styrene, and since I knew this fit in there inside the body, turned this upside down and traced it onto the styrene, cut the styrene out, and then sanded and trimmed until it fit the way I want inside the body. Yeah, I'm just using some painter's tape to hold it in position. So did a cutout for the motor. This is for the steering wheel. And I did cut the interior short on the front because we are going to use as much of the dash and steering wheel as will fit. As you can see, I've already cut on this a little bit. And this comes with a handy little notch on the back, so that'll glue right in there. And then from the inside, I decided to do that cut. If this will focus, I think you get the idea. You can see the full dash since the interior is trimmed short. You can see I can poke my finger through there. And you may want to do yours different, but that's how I decided to do mine. So I am going to paint this purple, going to paint the interior brown. Probably not the same brown as the seats, which is okay. Otherwise the seats would get lost. Once this is painted, I am going to Dremel the tops of these seats off and just glue them into place here so it looks like the tops of the seats through the windows. And then for a driver and passenger, I'm going to use these little Lego figurines of the guy with the cat and the cat. So they will be our driver and passenger once this is all finished. So that's basically my process for getting the interior fitted. Let's go hit it with some paint and we will start on the final assembly after that's dry. Here we are outside in the paint booth. First color is the brown that I used to make the rusty patina on my 4Runner. It is going to have some contrast, which I like with the seats, so the seats don't get lost. Here's my very expensive paint part holder. I just taped the styrene onto the paint stick, and we're just going to hit it. Just like that, good enough. Probably one coat and done. I am ready to do some detail painting. I have let this cure for as long as I can, which is about 2.5 hours it turns out. Looks pretty good. It's still a little tacky. That's fine. We're going to use this flat aluminum tester's paint, and excuse my old man yells at cloud moment. I paid $1.59 for this. Went to Hobby Lobby today and paid $2.99 for gloss tangerine. And I used to buy this stuff for like 39 cents when I was a kid building models. So with that out of the way, I like to just dip for a tiny amount onto the lid. So just getting the paintbrush a little bit coated. You don't want a big glob. And we're just going to add some details like that. I'm not worried about absolute perfection. But the devil's in the details. It's just going to help it stand out. So I'm going to keep working on the detail paint, and then we will start the final assembly. We're working on the interior still, and I've got to say I got carried away and installed the dash off camera, which I don't think is a huge deal. All I did was glue it in here and put some glue on the top where it touches the body underneath. But you can see how I finished this up. The odometer behind the steering wheel, and trimmed the steering wheel to clear the motor once it's all installed. And got the interior painted. So that's going to sit in there roughly like that. So we'll still be able to see the dash if I can get that to focus. So we'll still be able to see the dash. The motor will stick up here. So I think it's about time that we mark the interior. I'm just going to kind of eyeball this. So about where my thumb is about the line where the door closes. So I'm just going to put a little mark there. And one on the other side to show where the door is. Our next step, we're going to Dremel the top of the front seats off. We're just going to use the tops and the top of the Lego man for the driver. So we probably, is that going to look goofy if we cut that much of the seat off? Because it's going to stick up above that. So we'll start with that, and we can always trim it down if it looks too tall. So I'm going to go Dremel these off real quick, and we can start on the next step. I got the seats Dremeled off and just use some blue painter's tape to kind of mock up the positioning. So let's see what it looks like. So it doesn't reach the steering wheel, which is fine. I think that looks okay. Let's put it on the chassis and make sure that nothing's going to hit the motor. Oh, sorry, I was looking at the car myself instead of looking at the camera. I think that's all right. I think that looks pretty decent. Once they're glued in, of course, it'll look a little bit better. I might move it back just like a 5 millimeters or so, but overall I think that's pretty good. So I will glue this together. I'm going to glue the seats and our driver in, and I'm going to do some more detail paint work on our cat who's going to be our passenger. So we will meet back once that is done, and we will start working on the final assembly. I've got the interior completed. So I've glued our driver in, the seat backs for the front seats, and then I painted the Lego kitty and put her in here. I painted the little Lego cat to look like my 5-year-old Mary that unfortunately lost earlier this year to heart failure. So now she's going to be the passenger in the Beetle. I've got some blue painter's tape on here as I had it taped inside the body to do one final fitment test and run it, make sure everything fits, nothing's binding, which it does not. So now I think it's time that we install the interior permanently. And the way I'm going to do this is get it taped back in here where I want it. So just like that. And put it on the chassis, make sure it's not hitting on the motor, which it is not. Everything seems to line up well the way I would like. So you can see the top of the back seat sort of in there. The windows make it hard to get a focus inside the Beetle. Yeah, looks good. So let's pull it back off, and I'm just going to use some E6000. And we're just going to dab on some glue, avoiding the painter's tape. Really just kind of tacking this into place right now. And then when this is dry, I'll peel the painter's tape off and hit the rest of the seams with some glue. So that's a scale interior knocked out. Wasn't too difficult. I think it looks great. I've got one final part arriving, hopefully today, for this. And then in a couple weeks, Endura just released 40mm big bore oil-filled shocks in purple. So I'm going to order those, swap the black shocks out for purple, and these will go back onto the Bronco where I stole them from. But very, very close to finished. And it's looking exactly the way I wanted it to the first time I built it. So soon we will go run it on the rocks. We're out here on the backyard course with the Beetle finally. And we're just going to start with one of my favorite lines. No problems. It's been kind of wet and rainy the last few days. The rocks might still be damp. Let's see if we can make the 45-degree climb. Nice and composed. Up and over the top. Umbrella just fell over. Oh, couldn't quite make that. Here we are taking on the frame bender. And doing it with style. There we go, just got to creep it and hit it exactly right. And no problems. We are back out at the cool rock that is not the Drunken Frog to do some night crawling. The last part I was waiting on were these Endura rope lights. So let's see if the Beetle can tackle this. There we go. See that SMP inside doing its job. No problem at all once we got past that initial gatekeeper. The Beetle's so wide it can side hill like crazy. Oh, and we lost it, but we made it, so we'll count that as a win. Well, I hope this video was helpful and fun. I'm super pleased with how this came out. I finished this build originally a year ago, and now a year later it finally looks the way I wanted it to begin with. So revisit your old builds. It's fun. Rebuild them. Change them up. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hype, share, all those things. It's free for you. Helps me a lot. Helps the channel grow. And I will see you again soon in the next video.